All right, Shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all glory, honor, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Makahakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at GMS. Peace, honor, and respect to you brothers that's out there laboring, edifying, rightly dividing the word, the truth, and sincerity. And Shalom to you believers out there. All right, the Akim, Wa'at. And real quick, this is going to be real quick. Just a couple things that caught my eye when I was watching certain news stations. This first one, you see Texas man dies from flesh-eating bacteria after consuming oyster. All right, and real quick, I'm gonna let it play. Now, we had laws on what we're supposed to eat, and it was for our benefit. Now, when you go to Leviticus, the 11th chapter, starting at verse 9, it says, "These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters, whatsoever have fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, them shall ye eat. And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. They shall be even an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination. Whatsoever have no fins nor scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination unto you." Now, when you go into the word abomination, all right, because the Lord said the same thing about the ABC community, all right? It says it's detestable thing or idol, an unclean thing, an abomination, detestation, all right? Meaning stay away from it, all right? It's no good, all right? And I know, before I came into the truth, I never ate oysters. I never had an oyster. But, I ate catfish. Us black people at the cookout, whatever, we love the catfish, shrimp, of course, bacon and sausage, all of that. But once I learned about it, I put those things off, thanks to the Lord. All right. And, this is another thing I wanted to get about oysters, all right? Because this is what the oyster is for, all right? It has a purpose. The purpose of the oyster, it says, besides being seafood, which it shouldn't be, oysters make waters healthier because oysters feed by filtering algae from the water, right? So when something's a filter, it's basically taking in all the nasty things. When you have a fish tank, you have to change the filter because it's going to become congested with just all of that bacteria. Anything that's a filter is sucking in all of the bacteria, the poisons, the harmful things, and it's making things cleaner. And it says they function as a natural filter and improve water overload with nutrients. And that's why, the everything have its purpose. Okay, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua made the oysters to do this, to clean the waters. All right. Under certain conditions, a single oyster can filter up to 50 gallons of water per day, man. 50 gallons. One of them little oysters you eat can filter 50 gallons of water. And people been eating them for thousands of years or hundreds of years. I read something that said thousands. All right. And that's why now you had something where they wanted to do a project to keep the oysters, because they're taking them out to sell them to people to eat. And they are natural filters. It's a filtration system. All right. And Esau, the harbinger of death, all right, who takes abominable things and make them delicacies, all right, such as shrimp, the pig. All right, which the pig is a natural, basically garbage. They eat anything. They'll clean up things, slop for you, and make them a delicacy, man. All right, let me go into this oyster project, because this is what happened. I remember something. Billion Oyster Project. Look, the Billion Oyster Project is to restore oyster reefs to New York Harbor in collaboration with New York City communities. Oyster reefs provide habitat for hundreds of species and can protect our city from storm damage. So this is, wait a minute, hold on, I don't know if that's the thing. It was something where I guess this might be it. It was something on the news about it. We're restoring oyster reefs. Bear with me 1 second. Let me look it up on my computer 1 second, just to make sure. Yeah, so yeah, in the New York Harbor. Yeah, that's what they want to do in the future. Where's New York Harbor? I should go to YouTube. Let's look it up. The lesson is gonna take a little turn. I want to get something. Let's take a look.
When you order a Big Mac in the McDonald's app today, you'll earn points you can redeem for a free Big Mac in your future. Future you says, thanks. Earn free food with the app.
Not only are oysters delicious,
Look nasty.
they're vacuum cleaners for our harbors.
One adult oyster can filter
You see?
50 gallons of water a day.
Many of America's waterways are extremely polluted thanks to agricultural runoff, sewage, and industrial waste. Polluted waterways harm sea life and threaten our health as well. But where there's a problem, there's always a solution. And in this case, it's a solution that you can snack on at a local bar.
More oysters?
Yes, please. So I want to know, can oysters save our waterways? To find out, I'm going to meet with the good people at the Billion Oyster Project, who are on a mission to clean and restore New York Harbor with oysters by 2035. I'm Lucy Biggers, and this...
Now, you see, so they have a purpose, all right? But you see, she ate about 2 of them. So, I mean, as you're eating them, you're taking them out of the water naturally, all right? But check this out. Again, it's a purpose for them to be in the water, and they should stay in the water to do their job, to make our waters cleaner, and you won't have to have a $1 billion project. Okay?
Off the coast of Galveston, Texas, the waters brim with oysters. But also lurking in such warm waters, a dangerous flesh-eating bacteria called Vibrio bulnificus. We're learning a man recently died in the Galveston area after eating raw oysters. It's just the latest reported tragedy after other deaths this summer in Missouri, North Carolina, New York, and Connecticut. The bacteria can make its way into the body through open wounds and through raw seafood.
You get like some fresh Gulf oysters and you just get that real strong salty flavor in your mouth when you taste them, man, it's good.
But some are now rethinking their seafood snacks.
Definitely makes me want to take a step back and before I eat anymore.
Dr. Brad Perkins, a former CDC official, says now is the worst time for eating raw oysters.
The typical peak season for infections caused by this bacteria are late summer and early fall.
The CDC recommends against swimming in salt water or brackish water, a mixture of salt and fresh water, if you've got an open wound or cut, and says to cook raw oysters and other shellfish before eating them. There are many types of Vibrio infections, and overall they're really rare, but they're rising in the United States to around 80,000 a year according to the CDC, with infections on the East Coast increasing 8-fold in the last 3 decades. This year has seen exceptionally warm ocean waters, the type of environment the bacteria love, with infections spreading further north as our planet heats up. Most people with a mild case will get better after about 3 days and may have symptoms like diarrhea, stomach cramps, and fever. But the flesh-eating Vibrio vulnificus can cause serious infections. About 1 in 5 people die, and it's what took the life of the victim in Galveston.
Dr. Sayal is joining us now.
You see? And that, because the Lord said, even if we eat the healthiest things, matter of fact, I'm going to say that scripture I was going to get, but our bread is defiled. All right, but you're not supposed to be eating those things. All right, you wouldn't have got a flesh-eating the bacteria if you wouldn't have been consuming something that filters the sea, the waters. All right, it's basically you taking in all that, whether if it's raw, it's just raw, but even if you cook it, it still has things in it. All right, and that's gonna segue to the next one. All right, let's go here.
So Dax has a lot of cars and we've been considering downsizing. So we have been tracking the value of our car on
90%.
All right, because now you see the Nipah V word, you see it. All right, the Bat V, deadlier than the C. All right, delete 2 in India state of Kerala over there with them Elamites. All right, and just I'm gonna let this play. But see, the Lord said what was gonna happen in the end times, and basically, pestilence is not new. All right, we already know that when you go to Exodus 1:5, and afterwards Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, "Thus said the Lord power of Israel, let my people go." And the Lord is saying the same thing to the modern day Pharaoh, the so-called white man, the Edomite, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness. All right. And Pharaoh said, "Who is the Lord that I should obey his voice to let Israel go?" And that's what the so-called white man does. All right. He basically thumb his nose up at the Lord by making things like oysters and crab legs and lobsters and things of that, delicacies. The ABC community, the woman over the man, all what he do. He basically saying, who is the Lord that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I know not the Lord, neither will I let Israel go. All right, this is what Esau say. And they said, the power, the God of the Hebrews have met with us, let us go. All right, we pray thee 3 days journey into the desert and sacrifice unto the Lord our power. All right, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword. All right, so pestilence is not a new thing. All right, but Egypt is gonna get plagued and other places are gonna get plagued. All right, and then even when you jump to Matthew, and we, those of us in the know, we all know this, but just in case somebody new come across this video, Matthew 24:3, it says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us Slakia, what shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I'm a Mashiach, I am Christ. A Mashiach is the Paleo Hebrew way to say it, all right? In the Hebrew language, in the Paleo Hebrew language. And shall deceive many, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. And we already know what's going on, all right? We all see what Russia is doing. They got them hooks in their jaws coming back, All right, we know what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, United States, and China, and it's just we hearing the talks. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. All right, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise up against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. We see that. We see the coups going on in Niger. We see the coup going on in Gabon. All right, other nation against nation. You got race wars. You got black against white. This, it's happening. Kingdom against kingdom. All right, and there shall be famines. Famines is all over. All right, and it is gonna ramp up, and pestilences. See, and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows, and we don't have to. We already see these things happening. So now let's go to it. Let me play the video.
A bat virus deadlier than COVID has killed 2 people in India. Kerala has issued a health alert. This virus has symptoms similar to the Wuhan virus, except it is deadlier, much more deadlier. Sometimes the fatality rate is well over 90%. The name is the Nipah virus. Some of you may have already heard about this. But do you know how scary or deadly this virus is? Take a moment and look at what's happening in Kerala. At least 2 people have died and at least 4 others are suspected to be infected. What do we know so far? 1 patient died on the 30th of August, another on the 11th of September, that's yesterday. The relatives of both the deceased have been hospitalized. They too have Nipah-like symptoms. We will get to the symptoms in a bit, but what you should know is that of the 4 relatives hospitalized, at least 1 is critical. And here's what else we know so far. Both the victims who died had come in contact. The patient who died yesterday met the first victim at a hospital. They were together at the hospital for nearly an hour. As we speak, some areas of Kozhikode have been put under surveillance. These ones: Ayancheri and Maruthonkara. Here's what else you must note. This is not the first time that Nipah is being reported in India. Kerala reported a Nipah outbreak back in 2018. There were at least 18 confirmed cases back then. 17 of them died. This one was in Changaroth, just 15 kilometers from the currently affected districts. Nipah came back the following year. At least 1 person was infected. This was in Kerala's Ernakulam district. The virus resurfaced in 2021, this time some 50 kilometers from Changaroth. Here, in Chatmangalam, a 12-year-old boy was infected. He later died. It is 2023 and 2 people have died already. Should you be scared, irrespective of whether or not you live in Kerala? Let's go back to the basics. Nipah is like the Wuhan virus in more ways than one. In terms of origin, Nipah too is a zoonotic virus, meaning it jumps from animals to humans and can be transmitted from one human to another. Point number 2. In the case of Nipah virus, bats are considered to be the source of the virus yet again. Fruit bats, to be specific. 3. Just like Nipah too can infect other animals: dogs, cats, horses, pigs, sheep. 4. Like COVID, Nipah symptoms can start showing as early as 4 days of infection. Now let's talk about the symptoms. Usually it begins with a fever, a headache, a cough, sore throat, like COVID. Nipah too can result in shortness of breath or in breathing difficulties. These symptoms can last a couple of weeks. The situation goes from bad to worse the moment a patient develops encephalitis. Now that is the medical term for a major swelling in the brain. Encephalitis comes with a fresh set of symptoms: drowsiness, disorientation, mental confusion. Remember brain fog? And this is where things get scarier. And that's because things progress fast and a patient usually lands in a coma within a day or 2. So, should you be worried? I will point to what the World Health Organization says. Nipah has a fatality rate of anywhere between 40 and 75%. But in 2019, more than 90% of Kerala's Nipah patients died. That's a fatality of 90+%. It is very, very scary. And I can't stress on this enough. Also, there is no cure for the Nipah virus. But what we have is scope for precaution. Steps you can take to avoid infection, avoid transmission. You see, Nipah is transmitted from bats to humans, also from person to person. The first recorded outbreak of Nipah was in Malaysia. This was in the year 1999. Soon, Singapore was affected. In 2001, Bangladesh reported the Nipah virus. Soon, India had a scare. West Bengal was infected. The virus resurfaced in the state in 2017, and the rest is history. So what preventive measures can you take against Nipah? Here too, we must revisit the root of the problem. You see, bats are messy eaters. At night, they eat fruit and berries from the trees, and often they drop partly eaten fruits to the ground. These fruits are then contaminated with the bat's spit. If the bat is infected with...
Now you see, I just want to pause it because I wanted to get this scripture originally. And you see, fruits are lawful to eat. But Ezekiel 4:13 said, and the Lord said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whether I will draw them. Now, it's been cases in over there in India, but who knows where it can go. And you actually have Israelites in India, all right? You're gonna have Israelites that look like East Indians, Elamites, all right? But the bread is defiled. That's lawful. Now, let's go back.
With the virus, the bat's saliva infects the fruit too. Now imagine a pig, a rabbit, or any other animal eats this fruit. It ends up getting infected. And then, if a human eats that pig, that human gets infected too.
Now,
it's the same.
What do the scriptures say about eating, again, pigs, which is swine? All right. Leviticus 11, verse 1, it says, and the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, saying unto them, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, these are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on earth, whatsoever parteth the hoof, and is cloven-footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts that ye shall eat. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof, as the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean to you. Now when you jump down to verse 7, it says what? And the swine, though he divide the hoof and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud, he is unclean to you. All right, so the swine is the pig, and just in case somebody is simple, or you're just new, okay? For edification's sake, swine, which most people know what it means, but again, a hog, swine, boar, all right? Swine as forbidden food, wild boar going into pigs. That's in the pig family, all right? So we are not to even be consuming pigs, but you see where it went to the fruit, all right? So it is what it is.
Same if a human eats a fruit that has been tasted by an infected bat, he or she then goes on to infect others. So in terms of prevention, it's best to avoid fruits that look questionable. Also, in general, clean your fruits before eating. Avoid fruit products sourced from infected areas. Same with farm products. Stay away from areas that have reported infections. If you think you've come in contact with an infected person, seek medical help immediately. I have a feeling some of you are thinking, what happens if the chain reaction spreads out of control? What happens if the Nipah infections don't stop at 6? What happens if the deaths don't stop at 2? What happens if infections spread to other states? Well, chances are pandemic time regulations may then come back. The restrictions on social gatherings, social distancing, infections. It is a history we are better off not visiting. Because if we do, Nipah is likely to end up killing more near and dear ones than the Wuhan virus did. Beyond World is One is now available in your country.
And let's go there. All right. Because, hey, the bats be tearing that fruit up, and then the bat spit, and hey. Let's go to 2nd Esdras, the 16th chapter. All right. Start at verse 14. It says what? Behold, the plagues are sent, and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. The fires kindled, and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth. Like as an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer, returneth not backwards. All right. Even so, the plagues that shall be sent upon earth shall not return again. All right. And let's get that definition of plague for edification's sake. I looked it up earlier. Let's see. Reasons. a disastrous, evil, or affliction, calamity. All right, a calamity, a destructively numerous influx or multiplication of a noxious animal. And when you go into that word noxious, oh my goodness. Noxious, physically harmful or destructive to living beings. All right. So when you go to verse number 2, it says an epidemic. The D word, you see that, causing a high rate of mortality, pestilence. All right, this is the plague. All right, that's just another word for pestilence, which we got in Matthew 24. All right, verse 17, woe is me, woe is me. All right, it's Ezra. Woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginnings of famine and great death. See, this is kind of reiterating Matthew 24. The beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague and tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for the amendment. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges, right? And that's, basically 2/3 of our people, a lot of these heathen nations in here, nations on earth, Salakia, all right, just not mindful of what's really going on the earth, all right. But see that plague, that tribulation, that anguish, all of this, the beginning of wars, the powers is most Esau in fear. He see the chariots. He holding news conferences. All right. The beginning of evils is all type of manner evil on the news, on secular news, on underground news. I mean, you can listen to and read about. All right. We in the beginning of sorrows, man. Great death. All right. Just like Matthew 24 said, the earthquakes in diverse places. And let's get it. Because it said what? Earthquakes in diverse places. It says, let's go back. Verse 18, it says, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death. Great death. All right. And when we go to these earthquakes, let's get out of this. Let's look at that death toll in Morocco right now. At least 2,900 people died from the earthquake. All right, in Morocco, it was a 6.8. All right. Look, you see, death tolls tops 2,900. That was a day ago. Death toll nearing 3,000. That was 2 days ago. All right. Let's go to the death toll in Libya with the flood. All right. Check this out. 20,000 people feared dead in Libyan city destroyed by floods. All right. 20K is feared. Read it and weep. All right. That's the beginning of sorrows. All right. Great death. That's great death, man. A flood come, 20,000 people. Then you had Morocco, 3,000, and it's more. It's more. Believe you me, it's more. All right. But these things caught my eye, with this Nipah. All right. I don't know what it's gonna go to. I'm just putting a warning out. So Lord willing, it was edifying. To the next lesson. Shalom.